We are officially live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today is the 31st, the last day of the month, January 31st, 2023. And so far, what we've seen here, as we're coming to the close of the month, you can see that Bitcoin has been pretty green. So that's pretty exciting. Today we're talking about a lot of things, and I say we because I am joined once again by my co-host, as you guys can see here, the Bitcoin Queen. How you doing today?
Hey, it's a good day. It's a good day in Miami. It's actually hack week out here
Hmm.
in Miami. So if there's any hackers around, I hope to see you during Miami Hack Week. There was actually a killer party last night, and I did a panel, and it was fun. It's been fun. Here we are.
Nice,
Another day
nice.
in Web3.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of events this past week.
So this week I mean, it's Tuesday, right? So the week just started. But there's pretty much been a ton of events since last week, because last week was blockchain week in Miami, and we
Right.
had the quantum conference here. I hosted a pitch night. I hosted a meetup with Avalanche and Coin Fund. Those were super fun. This week is Miami Hack Week, so there's a bunch of activations. I was at the Solana Embassy last night. There was a party in Wynwood last night, and there's tons and tons and tons of event. If anyone's in Miami, I will actually drop the link in the chat. So you guys are aware of what's going on during this week. It's a fun week. It's a good week to meet people, get into new technologies, and build projects. It's the week to build in Miami. And what's the best time to build? When Bitcoin's pumping. So you
Exactly.
guys get to hacking.
Exactly, 100%. So it's been a lot of things going on. We're coming to now the close of the month. We just started a new week, and of course, there's a lot of things going on this week because we have the uh, Fed meeting happening tomorrow, actually. So that's definitely going to be a catalyst. In which direction, we don't really know yet. But that's something we're going to be waiting for to see what happens there. And we have some earning reports, more I should say, earning reports coming out this week. So that it kind of moves markets a little bit. It's nothing too crazy unless like something wild comes out, right? Um, so let's take a look. Let's start off here, and as you guys can see today, we have visual. We have my camera, right? You guys can see me today. I know last week we had an issue with that. Also, the audio so far sounds pretty good from the Bitcoin Queen here. And yesterday we didn't do this yesterday because I had a dentist appointment at 10 a.m. which ended up running like 3 hours. And then by the time I got out, my
Sounds like
mouth,
the dentist.
yeah, my mouth was numb. And I was trying to like drink water and like it was like falling out because I couldn't even feel it. So I was like, yeah, it's not a good. I'm not even gonna try to do that today. So that's why we kind of skipped out on yesterday's stream, moved it over to today. Um, but anyways, the show must continue, right?
They had to clean out all of Jay's gingivitis.
Yeah, 100%.
All that trading. He doesn't brush his teeth.
Yeah. I basically had a deep cleaning, so that's why they had to like numb my mouth. Um, but anyways,
Yeah.
let's take a
So
look
those are
here.
fun.
Let's take a look at the chart. Yeah, that was like the first time I went to the dentist in years. So the first thing we're gonna look at here, uh, you can see that the for the most part, everything is green here on the charts today. Bitcoin in the last week hasn't really done much. You can see it's up 1%, so it has gone up, but it's pretty much been ranging, right? We did hit a new high in the last week. If we go here to the weekly, I'm going to the weekly chart real quick so we can take a look at that. Last week we hit a high of what was it? 23. Well, this shows 23,954. So was it? I know we hit 24. I guess it just depends what exchange you're looking at. This is Bitstamp. It's showing me 23,9 something. Um, here also 23.9 something. So all right, so I guess we didn't hit 24. I thought for some reason we hit 24. Did you see 24? No.
No, I don't think. I think it's 24 is basically the resistance.
Right.
Yeah, we got like to like 23,944 or something like
Yeah.
that. We got pretty close,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
did not break that level. And then we keep bouncing. We won't go quite under 22 either. So we're like
Right.
23, 22 is like right now our median. And I think we're gonna start consolidating in this area
Yeah.
for the next like month or so until we decide to break through that next barrier, to be honest.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things I was talking about, that here in this area that we're currently in, it's that, anywhere between 18 to 30,000. Like, I think we're probably going to be consolidating there for the majority of the year. So that's definitely, right in line with what I've kind of been thinking overall for the market this year. As we go down and we look at some of the other altcoins, you can see Ethereum has been down in the last 7 days. And everything else is pretty much flat for the most part. We see Doge actually today has had a run up for those that are invested in Doge. It's up over 8% today. Matic, that's definitely in my long-term bag, up 12% in the last 7 days. So that's a pretty good one. And let me just kind of go down to see if there's any big movers. We have Aptos again as one of the bigger movers in the last 7 days with 34%. So it's up to $17 now. So it's had quite a run to open up the year. I think it's up I think it did 130% last week or something like that, and maybe 400% in January overall. So that's been quite a run there. And as I continue down, Phantom here with a 29% is up 29% in the last 7 days, up 7% just in the last 24 hours. And I think for at least the top, coins that I'm looking at here, that's pretty much the highlights there that we've seen in the last 7 days or so. We have a few other ones. DYDX up 80% in the last 7 days. That's a decentralized exchange. So I think that's one of the trends that we're going to see in this upcoming bull run. People are going to be moving more towards those decentralized exchanges after what we've seen last year, right? People don't have learned are learning that if they trust a third party, they might lose their crypto. What do you think about that as far as a trend for this next upcoming bull run?
Yeah, I think we have to so like dexes are hard, right? And it's mostly because dexes usually live within an ecosystem.
Right.
You have a dex on BNB, it lives within BNB. You got a dex on ETH, it lives in ETH. The only dex that I've seen that kind of does, cross-chain stuff, which one of the older dexes is like a dex like BISC, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has Bitcoin sales, it has Ethereum sales, but there's not a lot of dexes that have that cross-chain and agnostic, just it doesn't work that way. A lot of dexes just don't work that way right now. I think that's an issue that a lot of developers are coming to solve, and they're like, okay, this is what we need to work on next. Like we know how to run a DEX, but how do we get liquidity across multiple chains? And then obviously build a DEX that's reputable and pushing it through. I think that's like most of the issues with the DEX that we have seen. Because a lot of them, they just don't work across everything, which is it. Biggest issue right now. Hopefully one of these newer ones, like DYDX or they kind of figure that out. If somebody builds something like on Cosmos, they need to basically be able to talk to all these oracles. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So let's see. Now let's jump, I guess, into what I was talking about as far as what we're going to be seeing tomorrow, and that's going to be the Fed interest rate decision, right? So let me pull up here really quick the calendar so you guys can see exactly what I'm looking at here. Let me pull this
Oh,
up.
the Fed. The Fed is quite interesting what's happening right now with the Fed. And I'm very interested. I don't know if anyone's seen that news around China and the Chinese war, quote unquote, which has been talked about since the 90s, if and no one's aware of this. So there's been speculation since the 90s that we were going to go into war with China by 2030, right? Because if anybody knows anything about war, it's all fueled by money or power. And there was a general a couple days ago who announced that he thinks he's been telling his troops to get ready for 2025, 2023.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
very interested to see what's going to be, plotting out. But I don't know. Pack your bags, boys. That's what, or I guess fill your bags is what you should do.
yeah. It's wild. I mean, I don't know. With Biden, who knows what could happen? I don't know. Um, looking here at what we're going to be seeing tomorrow. So there's two different things going on tomorrow. If you guys can see here on the screen, the first thing is going to be, it says 11 a.m. here. I think this is like Central Time, but it's at 10 a.m. The ISM manufacturing and the job openings. So there's going to be reports on those two. The effects that could have on the market, it's not much, unless it's something crazy. But the main event that we're going to be getting tomorrow, that we're going to be looking at here, is the Fed interest rate decision. As you guys can see, the consensus and forecast is at 4.75%, right? Currently, we're sitting at 4.5%. So basically, right now, the consensus is that we're going to get a 25 basis points increase tomorrow. So my thoughts on that is basically, if we get a 25 basis points increase, one, it could be that the market doesn't really react much because it could be priced in already. So that could be one way that plays out. The second way, the market could be like, okay, we were right, so let's, they might put more money into invest. They might invest more money, right? More money might come in, prices might go up, and if they do go up, I wouldn't expect like a crazy move up. I'll expect like a few percentages up overall. And now where it gets interesting is if the rate hike comes in higher than what's expected by the market. So that would mean if it came in at 50 basis points versus what's expected, which is 25. Now, in that scenario, we will definitely see a big move down, I think. And when I say big, probably within like 5 to 7% move down in Bitcoin. In other markets, it'll probably be more around the 2% range. That's kind of what I would see happening at that point. And anything higher than 50, then even a bigger move at that point. But I don't like the market. I don't expect that. I think we got a very bullish inflation data report earlier this month, and that usually affects the interest rate decisions. So because of that, because we're consistently going down now for 6 months, I'm expecting a 25 basis points hike tomorrow. So that's pretty much what we're waiting to see. And I'll give you guys at the end of this stream a few different ideas on how I'm going to be playing it and how you can also play that, if you're looking to trade when that's going on tomorrow. You have any thoughts on what to expect tomorrow?
Uh, you know, I'm just gonna DCA my way,
Yeah.
anyways, until the next run.
Yeah.
I don't really have a lot of thoughts because there's a lot going on just like in the economies on a global scale, and we've had a pretty good month. This is the best month since October of 2021 for Bitcoin.
Yep.
This is the best month in over a year. So I couldn't be happier. And we all know the saying, bears eat, bulls eat, but pigs get slaughtered. So, although it's been a great run, if it goes down, it's fine. Just an opportunity to get in lower, right? Other than that, May the gods be with you.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about some of the news that we've seen in the last few days and things that we're looking over this week. So if you want to give us a breakdown on what's going on in the market.
So since we're already talking about government policies and all that kind of stuff, so last Friday, Biden administration had released some mitigation risk roadmap that they are planning to do for these cryptocurrencies. Obviously, a lot of these government agencies, especially the administration, labels cryptocurrencies as risky assets and as a huge risk as it bleeds into the broader financial markets. So, if you aren't caught up with what's happening, basically on Friday, January 27th, the Biden administration released some documentation around basically trying to get Congress on the same page with them and to work with them in mitigating cryptocurrency risk. Because obviously, there's different branches in governments, there's checks and balance. So it's really hard to overreach, and that's kind of why it takes a long time to kind of like push a lot of these regulations forward, unless there is something where we saw it with North Korea where they shut down Tornado Cash, which is like something that's an executive order that's more immediate. Pretty much as of right now, anyone who's interested in contributing to the ways that they will be conducting research, they're asking the public for information pertaining to digital assets, digital currency, blockchains, distributed ledgers, etc., to conduct an internal research. So there's a website that you can go to and an email that you can email information if you would like to contribute. This is more for somebody I would recommend who, someone from Stanford, Berkeley, you're a student, you have scholarly resources, you're a researcher, you have some serious skin in the game if you're going to be contributing to stuff like this, because it's very, very important to highlight to this administration and future administrations and Congress, what not to do, right? Like, this is kind of like the way that, we have power, right? Because like overall, after it's really hard to get, rules and regulations removed once they're put into place. So I urge anyone who is a researcher, is someone who can, contribute and have clarity and shed light, to reach out to the email. If you guys Google literally Biden administration and go to the White House, homepage, all that stuff will come up, because it is really important. Because the last thing we need, obviously, is for stuff to go sideways and them not to listen to us. A lot of people talk about, Bitcoin getting banned. I don't think Bitcoin will ever get banned, to be honest. Not here in the U.S. It's just not smart. But stable coins are actually a really big conversation in Washington, D.C. right now. If anybody, is keeping up with that. And, the U.S. is a leading country. If the U.S. does something, expect a lot of its allies to do the same. Which, this is not only a U.S. matter, this is a global matter, because we're just a superpower. It's a superpower, and that's the way it works. The deadline to turn in stuff is March 3rd. So guys, we have a month to get the Biden administration information to, help navigate this and make the correct decisions to their best abilities. So yeah, just anybody who's listening, if you're a researcher or someone who can contribute, please do so, because it is important. We like Jay's trading, we like having fun, but these are serious matters. That I don't know if have you heard about that, Jay? Are you aware of any of this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I read up on it a little bit, but yeah, it's definitely the thing with that is that if us in the crypto community don't try to kind of send them in the right direction, them that have really zero idea of what's going on in crypto are gonna just try to treat it the same way that they're treating everything else that they've ever treated, right? Which is what the financial system is right now. And we have seen how this financial system does not work, so they obviously have no idea what they're doing. So we definitely need to get as much input there as possible, and to get some real, people from the community in there, so that this can be put in the right direction, the ship, right? Because the government's gonna do something. They're gonna come down. They're not just gonna leave this as the wild west as it is right now. They're gonna come in eventually. It's inevitable. Now, in order for it to work for all of us, we're gonna have to also put our part in. So it's definitely a very serious matter. And like you said, anyone that has any ideas on this, thoughts, I definitely urge as well for you to send them in, because
this is our call to action.
Yeah, 100%.
So let's talk about lawsuits, because lawsuits, I love lawsuits.
Yeah.
I like when they're won. When they're lost, it happens occasionally, But so I guess we can start. Where should we start? With Alameda? Should we start with Genesis? Where should we start, Jay?
Whichever one you like the best.
Oh, that I like the best. I like the juicy ones. Okay, so let's start with the juicy ones. So Alameda is suing Voyager, and it's quite funny. So pretty much, Alameda Finance lent out Voyager, I think $446 million at some point in time. Now, it didn't really say, because Voyager never got actually paid out for being bought out, right? They were never actually bailed. So they never actually got, whatever money. But I think, the money that, hold on, let me double check, because I'm not clear on if it's, they didn't give him money, right? Like, I'm not crazy.
So it says, let's see.
So, okay, so wait a second. Apparently FTX paid Voyager in September and October. But was that to buy them out? 4 months earlier in July. Yes, it was. Okay, so I guess it's funny, because I was talking to someone the other day, and they were on my side. They were just like, no, they never got paid, so it didn't go through. But I guess it did. So they did. So supposedly FTX paid Voyager $446 million between October and September, and now they're asking for it back because, obviously FTX and Alameda are under severe scrutiny now. And I think Voyager Binance stepped in to acquire Voyager, if I'm not mistaken, after that, because they were kind of just, they needed a lifeline. So this is interesting, and this when I saw that Binance had acquired them, this is why in my head I was like, oh, FTX never paid them.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So I guess these are outstanding loans, and they're trying to get their money back after trying to bail out Voyager, but.
Yeah, so it says, according to the filing, the sum repaid adds up to $445. It spreads across 3 different payments and 3.2 million interests. So one payment was made in August, as well as.
So wait, because Voyager went bankrupt in November.
Mm-hmm. So
that wasn't their bailout for the bankruptcy. This was another loan. This is a loan apart from their bankruptcy.
Yeah, they got loans in August, September, and October.
I see.
Yeah.
So basically, this is Alameda just trying to dig themselves out of this mess.
They're trying to find money.
They're trying to file claims, pretty much, is what's happening.
Yep, they're looking for anything they could pull on at this point, trying to find money. Out of nowhere, pretty much.
Because here's what's happening. Because Voyager was basically allocated or acquired by Binance, now they're like, okay, Binance has Voyager, right. So now Binance is responsible for repaying this $446 million. That is what's happening. Yeah, let me just fact check myself, make sure that Binance did. Because it was either Voyager or BlockFi. Binance, Voyager.
They I think...
Yes. So Binance US did buy Voyager. Okay. So they basically $1 billion settlement plan is what they do to buy up those assets. So it was approved by a judge at the beginning of this month. Yeah, so pretty much, guys, what we're seeing is FTX, which I think that the new this is probably honestly a doing of the new CEO. His name's John. I can't remember the rest of his name, but he's like John the Third, something like that. But so he was talking to the committee, and he was telling them that basically he was on board to start releasing customer funds, and this is why SBF was saying like, oh, the U.S. chapter of FTX was always solvent, and trying to reinstate operations is what they're trying to do. So what I'm seeing here is that one, FTX is going around trying to collect money from people who can pay their claims. And in this instance, because Binance US said, hey, yeah, we're gonna take Voyager. Now they put in a bid. I don't know if that was ever finalized. They were cleared to buy it. It seems that perhaps because they were cleared to buy it, or quote unquote approved to buy it, they from here, it's, what is it, January 31st, January 12th, they probably signed the deal already. There's probably already contracts that have been signed. Binance probably already owns Voyager. So now FTX is like, okay, let's go after Binance, let's do Voyager, let's get our money back. That's what's happening. Yeah. That's interesting. This is playing out quite funny.
Yeah, and related to that, we got today that the judge ruled that the identities of the two parties who backed SBF's $250 million bond can be revealed. So they're not being revealed yet, as I imagine it's going to be appealed. But there's a lot of companies, a lot of media companies that are filing to get the court to release those names, and they're saying that that it's in the public's best interest for everyone to know those names. But then the lawyers are arguing basically that the people that helped with that then they could get threats and other things, their life might be at threat or something like that, because of course.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that everybody likes to hide behind a cloth, but really this is true. It's in people's right to know who's who. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about another story later on, because there was somebody who did just this. They hid behind LLCs. They covered their name, and they were able to get away with stuff for a long time. And it's very dangerous when you know how to work the system. So I think it's appropriate for these names to be revealed. Yeah. It sucks to suck. This is what happens when you're an investor and you invest into these things. Like, these are the risks that you take. Like, yes, you have the ability to make a lot of money, but at the same time, you are now seen as someone who can be held responsible if anything goes wrong. When you're launching a product, specifically, when you're trying to invest, launch a product, back things up, and basically be an advisor. Because when you're an investor, a lot of the times you sit on a board and you're basically an advisor to a company, depending on what roles you play. Obviously, if you're just someone who's buying into the stock, it's a little different. But if you're someone who's trying to look out for this company's best success and walk them through all that, it is what it is. It's fair game. There's a lot of people hurting, and Yep. Welcome to the big league. Yep. That's what I got to say about that. So one more lawsuit, which is on the bad side, then we'll get to the happy stuff, is coming up. So Genesis, we've seen Genesis has, let me pull up my story here so I give you guys all the juice. So Genesis has pretty much been under scrutiny by the SEC. I think also early January, around the same time that Binance was approved to buy Voyager, the SEC served Gemini and said, hey, you're getting sued for your earn program because, I think in November is when Genesis basically said we cannot pay anything out after, things started collapsing. So Gemini made a claim there was $900 million locked up within their earn program as of right now when it got halted because they couldn't pay any more out. And Gemini made a claim saying that their assets in earn were FDIC insured.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a very bold statement. So banks, when you deposit your money in a bank, you're in your bank account. If something goes wrong, if the bank, goes belly up, you can be paid up to $250,000, which is FDIC insured. Now, if you tell your customer, hey, if you give me money and I deposit it into, my earn program, don't worry, you don't have to worry about it in case something happens because your money is insured, we will give it back to you. Now, the thing with a lot of these exchanges is technically some of them do have things that are quote unquote FDIC insured. However, it is only if it's in USD. If you have USD sitting in your exchange,
Right.
and it's a centralized exchange and it operates under the United States, blah 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 blah, technically it can be insured. However, cryptocurrencies are not.
Yeah.
And
That's where the
the state of New
confusion
York
was.
is pretty much launching an investigation, and I think they're going to come after Gemini, and they're going to find themselves in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so that's where the confusion was. I'm showing the article here, and that's basically what it exactly what it is. You couldn't see the difference. The communication wasn't there to really break down the difference. And I actually spoke about the Earn program when it first came out. I think it was probably like a live stream or something. I'm not sure if I did a video on it, but like I went through the their what do you call it? The disclosures or whatever. And I did see that a lot of things that kind of popped some red flags and that's the reason I didn't end up using it. That it was basically said that they don't have to return you your money. If anything were to happen with them, if they went bankrupt, anything like that, like they didn't have to return, like you wouldn't get your money back. And that was the biggest red flag for me. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna put any money in there because
that's with any crypto product. Like
right.
Theoretically, any crypto product is like that. I think the only one, if you trade Coinbase Pro, I think they have a liabilities insurance up to, it's like $3 million. It's really nothing. Like
Right.
It's really nothing. And I don't think that's per person. I think that's just like in totality.
Right.
So that claim can be seen as, malicious advertising.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to basically dupe people into thinking like, oh, if I put my money here, it's fine. Of course, the disclosures are there, but they're going to see. This is why it's very important, even though you have, legal, verbiage that could protect you. Like theoretically, because Gemini has these things listed within their product, like they are protected. However, if you go around saying that your products are insured and you don't clarify in that instant that it's not that, it's only if it's USD, it's only if it's this, like whatever, and it's not pertaining to this earn program, you're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of faith with the Winklevoss twins, and I had faith that they were operating in New York, which was already a very fine line. And they seem to do everything by the books, but I don't know. People were saying Bitcoin's not going to go too far down unless there's like something like major that happens. If they shut down this exchange,
yeah,
I don't even know, man. To shut it down is one thing, but to shut it down and people, it takes time for people to get their money back and blah 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 blah. Like that's a problem. That's a legitimate problem.
Yeah, 100%. And it's part of the problem that we saw all of last year. With not your what do you call it, not your coins, not your crypto,
Not your keys, not your
Not your
coins.
keys. There we go. Not your keys, not your coins, right?
I keep telling people ask me all the time. They're like, Annalise, what do you think if I give my money to a hedge fund? What do you think if I do this, that, and the third? Blah, 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 blah. And the answer is, guys, if you are willing to lose anything that you have made thus far, because honestly, what is the point of giving your money to somebody and they take it and they invest it and they have literally no legal liability to give it back? Because chances are, if you're giving crypto to a hedge fund, it's a hedge fund that doesn't legally operate within the United States because they can't do that. And it's like you have to be an accredited investor to like legally invest within a hedge fund if it is within the U.S. And there's certain guidelines and like there's a lot. So best thing for you, honestly, if you're not looking to trade or make big wins, obviously if you're here, you're probably trading with Jay. But if you're just somebody who's like just dibbling and dabbling, please, for the love of God, dollar cost average, buy in what you can, and put it in a cold storage wallet. Do not do anything else. Do not answer those DMs of people saying that they're going to make you money cloud mining. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah,
if you're a lazy investor, buy and put it away. Forget about it.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I tell people. If you're a lazy investor, that's fine. You can be a lazy investor. Just do it the right way. Right? You don't have to You don't have to be trading. You don't have to, you don't have to do all those things. Just buy for long term, DCA, and sit back and watch that go up in a few years. But yeah, it usually happens when there's shortcuts, and when people look for shortcuts, that's when they run into problems and scammers and all that. And then that kind of goes into this whole thing with the third parties, offering all these returns, these high returns, right? APYs. It's kind of comes as a shortcut. They sell it as a shortcut to make more money on top of your crypto. But then we run into these problems where you can just lose all your money, and a lot of people did. So you have to be very, 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 very careful. And it's definitely a tough lesson, and that was learned last year in 2022. But that's why I've always preached, like, never keep always like have a cold storage, right? 2, never keep all your crypto in the same place. Because if something happens to that one spot, if you lose your keys, if you have it, let's say you have it in cold storage, you lose your keys, you lost your crypto. If you have everything, if that one gets hacked, you lost your, so there's so many things because of that. The way that you mitigate that, you manage that risk is that you keep it in different spots. So if you're going to keep it in cold storage, I would recommend having multiple cold storage wallets that you can keep it in. And that's going to help you a lot in the event that something bad happens. You don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. And then, I of course, since I trade, I do have some money on exchanges, but I don't keep it. I have a very small amount of money on exchanges, and I have them, spread out between multiple exchanges. So just a couple different tips on what you can do to mitigate that risk, because of course it is easier to keep money on exchanges and just to buy and just leave it there. It is easier, but you can lose all your crypto. So it's something you just have to kind of keep in mind. All right. Yeah. So what else is going on in the world now that we've covered some of the more bearish news?
Here's a little bit of bullish. One last lawsuit, the happy lawsuit. If anybody follows decentralized video platforms, I know we're on YouTube right now, but there's a decentralized video platform that got sued or served by the SEC a couple months ago. Its name was Library. They also have a subsidiary called Odyssey, and originally they had lost. So they filed a appeal. And yesterday in court, they were awarded that their token after secondary sales was not deemed a security. So that was a big win for the crypto market, if anybody follows that. So that is some bullish news. We won one against the SEC. Let's go.
Yeah, and I saw that it's also bullish for the ongoing case for Ripple right now. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when they were asked to clarify that ruling, it helped for the case for Ripple. So let's see what happens with that, because that's been ongoing for what, like 2 years now. We're
Yeah,
expecting
no, it's
it.
been a while.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's gone on this long.
Hmm.
Uh, Surprised but not surprised because Ripple obviously they have a lot of money.
Hmm.
They have the ability to sustain a case as long as they need to, as long as they can justify themselves. I think Ripple knows the stakes, and it's not even Ripple specifically. It's the founders, Brad
Yeah.
Garlinghouse, and that one other guy who basically they're under scrutiny because the idea is that they enrich themselves from dumping on the bag holders.
Hmm.
And I think because of that, like if they lose that, they as individuals are in a lot of trouble. So I think they have pretty much tried to sustain and justify this case as long as possible, so that doesn't happen. Um, so yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But it has been some time.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that they said that they're expecting the case to close this year. So let's see. Hopefully it does. And I think because it's gone on so long, I think that Ripple is gonna end good for for crypto overall. But we're we really don't know it. We're just kind of making some guesses, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that's going on right now is that Bitcoin sees its best month since 2021, October to be specific, in January, right? So this month. So if we go here to the monthly candles, if we look at this candle right here, you can see that we're up this month 40%. And the last time we saw anything like that was all the way back in October of 2021, which we also had a candle of 40%. I think that's actually when we went, that was a month right before we went to the new all-time highs. So this is the best month since then. So very bullish overall, I think, for crypto to start off the year. Now, I'm not expecting like in 2021 for us to hit a new all-time high or anything like that here anytime soon. I'm still expecting us to kind of consolidate within this range here. So if you guys can see this range here in the between the Fibonacci's, this is kind of like the golden pocket area. And we have the range is basically from 20 grand to about $27,000, right? And it's never going to be exact numbers, but you could think of them as zones. So those are the zones where I'm thinking we're probably going to be stuck around for the majority of this year. Now, a break above that like $28,000 to $30,000 mark, that could lead us to prices higher around like maybe 38. You can see that was a huge support and resistance there as well. But yeah, but it's bullish overall. I don't want people to get carried away by the 1 month. You know what I mean? I don't want people to start going
Yeah.
crazy and saying, all sorts of crazy stuff, as we've seen in the past, just because of 1 month. We need to.
Yeah, we were talking about Bitcoin going to $1 million again.
Yeah, I just want consistency. I don't mind if we slowly kind of run up. I mean, overall is very bullish news. You can see Glassnode here, which is basically a company that just tracks all the statistics, all the on-chain data, right? They're saying that that the rally was fueled by both spot demand and a sequence of short squeezes on that run up in January. So there's a lot of money flowing back into the market. So very exciting news there.
So let's keep the conversation around Bitcoin because I have something else I want to talk about.
Yeah.
But in terms of price prediction from here to 2025, I did see that there was some people again saying that it's going to go to $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's too high personally.
Yeah.
Depending on current events, right? Because like we didn't expect COVID to happen, and then it happened, and then Bitcoin just it took off, and that's okay too. But what are your thoughts, Jay, on this again newly $1 million goal by 2025 that we keep seeing?
Yeah, so I think people are probably I personally I don't think we're gonna go to a million. Not in 2025. I do think one day, but 2025 that's way too soon, right? What I'm expecting, and when I've kind of run my analysis and stuff like that, I'm expecting I think 100 is going to be that main figure for us in this next rally, because it's just such a big whole number, right? I've spoken a lot about the psychological aspects of trading and investing and all that come into play with whole numbers, and 100K is a huge whole number. So that's definitely going to be a number that I know most investors are targeting to sell, probably. Now, if we break above 100, I'm thinking
We
we
will. I think
stay.
we'll break above 100, just
Yeah,
like based off like previous cycles.
yeah. I'm thinking if we break above 100, I'm thinking my thoughts then at that point is like 120, 130 ish range. Obviously, these are
120
just.
was my target. Just I like to pretty much double the
Mhm.
number each year, even though we doubled and then some.
Right.
Last year we could triple. That would be
Yeah.
great. But
That would
then
be
what's the new low
fantastic.
after that?
Right, that would be fantastic. But I know a lot of the stuff as well, that's been, about people saying talking about $1 million in 2025 is from a from Plan B's prediction. They have like this model that they have. I'm sure everyone's seen it. And then he basically what the model is giving is a range of where it could go, and the range is from 100K to $1 million. Is the estimate for 2025. Now it's not now $1 million is the top end of that. Well, I don't know what just happened. Oh, I just clicked it by mistake. $1 million is the top end of that, and then the bottom is 100K. So that's why 100K I think is where we're definitely going. Now 1 million, I don't think we get there. I think that's way out there. But I'm thinking between 100 to like 130. I think I did one of my previous videos where I was talking about the hash ribbon indicator. I think Bitcoin had the average return every time the hash ribbon indicator signaled a buy was 557%. And then I think when I put that with the current price that we were at when that buy signal popped up was generated, it gave us a price prediction of $138,000 by the end of this next bull run. So that would be the peak. That's on average what the price has done once we've gotten that buy signal, and that's exactly around the range that I was talking about, that I was thinking for the price of Bitcoin in the next bull run. So that's kind of where I'm sticking to 120 to 130 range. I think that's where we get to, and anywhere more than that, I am very, very happy. I think everybody will be very happy. I always want to try to play that conservative range, though, and then if it overshoots it, I'm more than happy to for that. But yeah, that's kind of where my head's at right
To
now.
be fair, Plan B gave a very large
Mhm.
range to begin with because
Right,
it said from 100 to 1 million.
right,
There is $900 million
right.
in
Exactly,
between.
exactly.
It's an extreme range. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, honestly, it's almost like clickbait, right? It's just like, oh, I think Bitcoin could go up to $1 million,
Hmm.
but it's going to be within this range. And it's like, okay.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I think that's pretty much what happened. Like it started getting people just started taking that $1 million figure and ran with it. And because like I said,
It
it's
sounds
clickbait.
nice. It sounds good.
Yeah.
It sounds great. It sounds fantastic. There will be legitimate Bitcoin trillionaires walking around.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so and then it's funny because someone actually tweeted 100K to 1 million is a pretty large range, and then Plan B
very
replied,
large.
yeah, Plan B replied, but the low end of that range is still 4x from today. That was basically the reply he gave on that question, that concern. So
Yeah, sure. Like
yeah,
obviously, but
yeah.
that's pretty funny.
Yeah,
That guy knows what he's doing.
100%.
um, so I don't know if you guys have been seeing what's been going on with the nodes and what's been uploaded to the network for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, I love Bitcoin, and Bitcoin, I think it will be money and it will always be money. And the technological advances around Bitcoin have pretty much stopped exactly where they are because people don't want Bitcoin to be anything else but Bitcoin, if that makes sense. Like there used to be back in the day, Counterparty, and Counterparty used to be, kind of like the first iteration of like, NFTs, and that pretty much got shut down. There's also been a lot of developers that have been pushed away from implementing future developments onto the chain, things like increasing block size and all that stuff in between that has caused the forks that we've seen like BCH, BSV, etc. And recently, the most recent one, which is actually the most alarming one to me. So as of right now, SegWit, when SegWit was pretty much pushed, it was an idea to make things on chain cheaper. So what people have been doing for the past few weeks is uploading NFT data to the Bitcoin blockchain. Now, some Bitcoiners very upset. They don't want you to do this. And it was proposed for miners to censor these transactions. Now, I don't know about you, but Bitcoin to me is censorship resistant, right?
Yep.
So this idea, I think there's a lot of people within the community who are just like clapping back and saying like, no, don't push this idea. It is not okay to censor these blocks from being, uploaded to the chain. That is wrong. That is literally opposite of everything that Bitcoin stands for. In retrospect, it's trustless, permissionless censorship resistance. So that is probably the most alarming thing that I've seen in like Bitcoin land that has happened like within recent times. It was actually Adam Back who had proposed that. Adam Back, he does what is it, Blockstream, which Bitcoin satellite nodes, all that stuff. They also have like a mining branch to that company. But yeah, Jay, give me some thoughts on this Bitcoin land news.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to what a Bitcoin maxi is really, right? Like they don't want anything else going on the network. They just want, the basically the white paper from Satoshi, and they don't want anything ever changed. So I know that's what I see a lot, and I run into a lot when there's a lot of
Is
talk.
it though? Is it? What is Satoshi's vision? This is a very, I think this is a hot topic. What is Satoshi's vision?
Well, Satoshi's, I think, main vision was to get out of centralized governments, right? The paper came out literally a month after the 2008 thing happened. Was that what it was? The timing on it? It was like, I don't know. It was like incredible timing though, right? Like we had
After the recession came,
right. We had the meltdown.
Then the white paper came out, the forums, the talks.
Right.
Later in 2009, the Bitcoin Genesis block was mined.
Exactly. So that was like, I don't know. Like that's why when people talk about this, it's like it's crazy the timing of this. Like there was no, like it was like he was just kind of waiting, right? Like he waited, and then he's like, boom, this is a perfect time, and put it out. So
the recession was dating back, starting in 2007.
Right.
So in 2007, these problems like started to
started
occur.
popping up. Yep.
So I think like after like the cherry on top, obviously these things like take time, development, blah 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 blah. So like as soon as like it was like breaking point, that's kind of when Bitcoin was pretty much ready to release, and people to start mining and hacking and like building away on it. So it again it was good timing.
Yeah. So I think that that timing was just insane, and the entire idea was, get away from centralized governments, get away from all that, have everything be transparent on the ledger, so that basically that can't happen again, right?
Right.
So then ever since then, obviously it has to evolve, right? So things have evolved. There's been a lot of forks, and we've seen a lot of what used to be Bitcoin maxis, I guess, start pushing different forks like Bitcoin Cash. There are people then started pushing more private coins, right? Like Monero, things like that. Um, so it basically all started off with Bitcoin, and everybody started splitting up. And I think this happens in anything you do. You can, if you bring up any subject, religion, for example, everybody breaks. If everybody might agree on religion, but everyone has their own ideas and their own takes on religion, and people break out
Mm-hmm.
into what, their thoughts and what kind of relates to them. And you could do that with
Mm-hmm.
religion. You could really do it. You could do it obviously with politics. We have everybody split up and divided, and then obviously that's just human nature. So that also happens with Bitcoin and crypto and all of that. So that's kind of what we have seen, and it's developed into what it is right now, and I expect it to continue developing, evolving. There's gonna always be different ideas, but I think the core that core idea was, get away from centralized money, centralized governments, make everything transparent, so that we can see exactly what's going on. We're not trying to trust a third party or government on their word. And then and then what other than that, I know that he put verbiage. I think I don't know if it was in the white paper or in the forums, that obviously it's a technology that needs to evolve with time, and in order to
Mm-hmm.
keep up. So I know there's people that that are always taking that, and then there's people on the other side that are always saying no, this is what he wanted, and so people are always trying to say what he wanted to do, right? And I don't think we'll ever know exactly what, but I think that we have the main idea. The main idea is there. Now everyone's always going to have a different side of that idea, their own perspective on it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's wild. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
There's this book. Um, Hold on, I'll tell you the name of this book. But basically, like it's really broad to know like what exactly was wanted and wasn't wanted, and this is why people argue uh, around BSV a lot,
Mm,
saying that this was actually Satoshi's vision in terms
right.
of block, because block size and having and transactions, that was something that technically was in that original thesis, but quickly people who were academics and scientists realized, like, in order to sustain a certain level of security as they wanted or were comfortable with, to make sure that like nothing ever interrupted the network, maybe having like more transactions and more block size and stuff like that wasn't the best. There's a few things in there that were actually very different from the blockchain that we see today, and this is why a lot of people online will say, oh, Craig Wright, his blockchain is actually Satoshi's vision, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where that argument actually comes from. But yeah, I think that overall it's rough.
Yeah.
It's hard, mostly on people who are interested in putting their lives into developing such a network. I think that yes, we need to, at this rate, Bitcoin's just gonna be money. I don't really see Bitcoin advancing to anything else. Whenever I go, there's conferences that are like specific to Bitcoin and Bitcoin development and building DeFi on Bitcoin and all this stuff, but it's like it's not really gonna happen.
Right.
These ecosystems, like their communities, are not actually going to flourish the way that some of these developers putting in their time think they will. Like, for example, so there was this soft fork that was supposed to happen a couple years back, and this dev basically just got shoved down. He spent months and months and months basically trying to make Bitcoin more flexible, give it the ability to be more customizable at its core. And when he was like, hey, I'm ready to push this and implement it, a bunch of podcasters basically ganged up on this little developer and said, no, screw you, you're not deploying this on chain, this is harmful, and literally like just banished this guy. Like, this guy had to leave the project. This guy is like no longer a dev working on core Bitcoin. There's literally only a handful of devs working on core Bitcoin. And it's because, there's people, the maxis, really.
Right.
The maxis are the people that exist that just don't want these developments and advancements. All they want to do is secure the chain. Bitcoin will inevitably go up. It's going to be great. But anybody, if you're out there thinking that Bitcoin is going to, change or, advance, it's always going to be a dinosaur. And I feel really bad for developers who kind of like dedicate their lives wrapping their heads around these things and trying to truly advance the network, because it's not really going to advance. It's pretty much just going to stay. And the idea is for it just to stay secure at this rate. But I am very against, back to originally where this conversation started, very against the censorship resistance, very against the idea of telling miners to pick one block over another.
Right.
That is very, very against anyone's, ideology when they step into the crypto space, and obviously not anywhere near Satoshi's vision, because the idea was for us to remain, decentralized, immutable, trustless. And if we're bringing into the conversation, hey, should we make these people deny these type of transactions for the sake of not bloating your chain that will just always be money? No, it's not. I'm not interested. So the issue was maybe you should have never, made SegWit make cheaper transactions to upload things to the chain, right? Like, why don't you guys think of that? I'm very, very against trying to corrupt transactions and corrupt the chain for selfish reasons. And those are my closing thoughts.
Yeah, 100%. And let's jump into the last piece of news here that I wanted to cover. We're already on the hour. So real quick to finish here. And after this, I also want to do a Q&A. So if you guys have questions that you want us to answer, drop it in the comments. I'm going to check them in about 5 minutes. And we'll
because
answer
I want to go get pizza, and I'm going to answer these questions. Otherwise, I can't get my pizza.
Yeah, I am getting hangry as well. So the last piece of news is Elon Musk. They're working on a Twitter payment system, and eventually is also going to have crypto integration within that system. So I think
this is different from because wasn't there lightning payments at some point in time on Twitter.
Yeah.
I guess there was never like Twitter Pay. Like Facebook has Facebook Pay or Meta Pay, I guess it's called now. So this is like Twitter Pay.
Exactly. Yeah. So but it's supposed to be coming out. I don't know when. They said that they're moving ahead. I'm pulling up the article right here on the screen here so you guys can see. But it says that he's moving ahead with the plans to bring the payment functionality to Twitter, which will bring another revenue stream. So they've been basically looking for more and more revenue streams. They say they want to cut out advertising from Twitter, and then bringing payments. Bringing the payment functionality to Twitter is a way for them to make some more money, I guess.
But what exactly would they do with this payment functionality, right? Like let's think about this. Because if they say like, hey, we're going to cut out advertising, great. But then what exactly is your Twitter Pay going to do? Like, are you going to act as a payment processor? Are you going to partner up with companies like PayPal and people can, and it's like, okay, I have Twitter Pay. Obviously there's the $8 a month thing. They can process it through that and take those fees. But what else, right? So like Instagram, for example, or Facebook, they have those marketplaces now. On Instagram, you can literally buy people's merchandise from the website. Are they going to start offering, direct sales through Twitter? Like, can I now go, okay, well, I like Jay's Bitcoin Daily shirt. I'm going to buy it and I can buy it off Twitter. Like, is that what they're trying to do here?
So it looks like they're right now they're trying to get the licenses to become a payment processor, and then
Mm-hmm.
what it seems to me that he's trying to do, and I'm pretty sure, and this is probably like, I don't know if it was like a year ago or longer than that. He spoke about, I forgot what the app is called. It's something in China that they have. I think it's like WeChat or something like that.
Oh, yeah, it's like WeChat. Like you have WePay. You can do
Right.
everything with
So
that one
right.
app.
So
It's
it's
like
so
it's like
WeChat.
WhatsApp.
It's a app that has basically everything integrated from, you can facilitate peer-to-peer transactions. You can take credit cards. You can pay for commerce. It allows you to buy products directly through the platform. So things like that, and that's exactly what it looks like Elon is trying to do with Twitter, create it into this everything app where it can facilitate all those
That's
things as
so
well.
spin from where it is now. So in my brain, it would have made sense for WhatsApp to do something like that,
Right.
because like theoretically, that is basically what WeChat is. It's
Hmm.
a chatting platform that's attached to your phone number. So as a business, people can reach you. That you could also do payments on, etc. So I want to see how he actually tries to do this, because that's an interesting approach.
Yeah, and of course, he's teased Doge as a payment option on Twitter. So I think because the news came out today on this happening, then Doge. That's why Doge has been spiking today, going up around 8% or something like that.
I
But
think
yeah.
honestly, the only issue of doing this as a social media platform is there's a lot of people who are anonymous,
Hmm.
right? There's people who don't have their actual emails and phone numbers connected to Twitter.
Right.
There's people who don't have, their identities verified.
Yeah.
Again, in my brain, this made sense for like a WhatsApp kind of payment. The social media, trying to make it like a WeChat,
Yeah.
not bullish. Not bullish. Because
Yeah.
like now all these people, if they want to even like use that, or is it going to be automatic that you have to like, because like Facebook does that thing where they try to verify that everyone's a real person that gets on
Right.
Facebook now in
Right.
terms of like identity. Is that going to be a requirement for Twitter? Can I no longer use like certain like pseudonyms and stuff, and then like also giving them all this information that leaves me open for like more breaches and hacks? And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know,
Yeah, I
Elon.
think I think I think that's what he's trying. Because he's also trying to get rid of all the bots. So that's his war against bots.
Wow.
Verifying that people are real is one of the ways, to try to get rid of bots, I guess. But yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into the analysis for this week, as we go into the Fed interest rate decision tomorrow. And we'll kind of just take a look at where we're at. So first, we're going to start off here with the monthly candle here. Let me get rid of this. You can see that this monthly candle has pretty much completely broken the resistance that we had right here. If we go like this right here, you can see that this is a resistance that we had basically since we hit that previous all-time high in November of 2021. And with this monthly close, once we close today, this will pretty much be the first time that we break above that, right? So and it's the first time since we close above it. So that's very, very bullish for a reversal there. Then the next thing is that we broke above a major Fibonacci level here. That's 61.8%. And then now we're kind of sitting in the middle of it. So when we're in the middle of it, we can range from the bottom of where that Fibonacci level was. So it was previously a resistance. Now, of course, is a support. You can see that we used it as a support here for 3 months straight. Then we lost it and we used it, and it was used as a resistance basically for 3 months straight right there before we just broke above it. So I'm expecting us to range between these two levels here. And that price is around 20,000 up to 26 to $27,000. Remember, these are just ranges and zones. They're not specific. They're not absolutes, right? Numbers are never absolutes. Ranges, supports, and resistances are never absolutes. So that's kind of from the overall look right now. That's kind of what we're looking at. Then if we break down, we go into the weekly, we can see more in depth exactly what's been going on. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row that have been green. The best week being on the week of the 9th of January that we went up basically 22%. And this is kind of where we're at now. So this is a very typical move here in the markets where, we have a lot of momentum up, and then eventually it starts to kind of fizzle out a bit and consolidate. So it has to, because these green candles are so big, there's a lot of people that missed out on these. There's a lot of buy areas and things like that. So usually price likes to retest this and come back, and it's not gonna fail all of them, but it's gonna come back at least. I'm thinking to like that $20,000 range is usually around the area that we're looking at. If we pull up here, let me see here we go. The volume ranges here. You can see exactly where all the volume is recently here. So the majority of the volume right now is right here. So you can see this candle right here, and guess where that sits at? $20,000, right? So 20,000 is the main level that we're watching here. And you can see as we break above 20 volume, it starts to drop off. And you can see a huge drop off. Let me see. Let's zoom out a bit here so we can really see that level. You can see that the volume really drops off at around that $27,000, $28,000 range, and really picks up at that $38,000 range. And guess what? That $27,000, $28,000 range, that's one of our resistances. So it looks like that could be a weak one. But once we break above that and we start trying to test that $30,000 area, that's when the resistance really picks up here, because we're going to have a lot of volume there. We're probably going to see a lot of selling, a lot of sell orders. So that's that's why I think it would hold us where we can kind of, drop back down here back to 20,000 and go back up to that 30,000 range. And we could just consolidate here for basically the next few months, right? Maybe even the majority of 2023 of this year. So that's kind of what I'm looking at on the bigger aspects of the chart. Obviously, this doesn't take into account macroeconomic events, doesn't take into account anything that's happening around the world, things like that. All those things can change the charts, right? It can just completely change everything. All the analytical stuff goes completely out the way, completely out the window. But it's just so that you have that in mind, right? That's what we're looking at from the chart standpoint. If we zoom in even closer to the daily, you can see that we've had a few bull flags here. You can see we had this run up. Then we had this bull flag form here. You can see it right here. Then we had a continuation up, which was this candle right here. And now we're basically at another bull flag here. So a bull flag is basically after a move up, a consolidation period, like you guys can see there. So eventually a decision has to be made with the price here. Either we're gonna break back up like we saw previously here. Let me take some of these drawings off so we can see. So like we saw right here, after this bull flag, we broke up, right? We broke out. So now we have another bull flag, and we can either, it's kind of the same thing, break out again and finally test this resistance up here, or we can break to the downside and retest this down here, which is at $20,000 range. So I mean, either one of those could really happen. Usually when there is a bull flag it points to a continuation in the same direction as the impulse. So the impulse move was this green candle right here, which was a 7% move. So, historically speaking, the odds are for the price to continue up. Now, what's going to, and I think we're gonna know exactly where we're gonna go tomorrow. So tomorrow we have, why? Because we have an event that can act as a catalyst, and that's pretty much what it seems like we're waiting for right now, for a catalyst. What began this move down here? Well, we had an event that was a catalyst, which was the inflation data report, right? That when the inflation data came out, we had that initial move up, which was that big impulse move. Then we consolidated, then it continued up. Now we're consolidating again. Now I'm thinking tomorrow can play as a catalyst here, where it's going to show us which way the next move is. So from this bull flag, if we're gonna break out and test this resistance up here, or if we're gonna break down and retest these lows down here, which is the same resistance that we had before. So either one of those can play out. Now, which way it's gonna play out, we're gonna have to wait till tomorrow. It can play out in two ways, depending on what the report is. If it comes out at 25 basis points as far as the hike, that's when I think we can get a move up. However, the price is, a lot of people are saying that the price can be baked in already. If that's the case, we might just continue to consolidate here until the next inflation report, which we should see in a few weeks, in I think a week or two. If we get anything higher than 25 basis points, then we're pretty much for sure going to retest this support level down here at that $21,000 to $20,000 range. So that's how I think tomorrow plays out as far as a catalyst, depending on which way the report comes out. We're either going to break to the upside, or we can break to the downside, retest this on the bottom here, and then eventually probably get, I would expect to get a bounce from here, go back up, and kind of stay here until there's another catalyst, right? So I don't know. That's kind of what I'm looking at, how I'm playing it. So I'm playing it. I'll probably look for whole numbers to play if I'm looking to trade this tomorrow. So I'd be looking at right around here, right? So that's where the breakout would happen. That's right around 24,000, which is a resistance level that we got rejected at last time. So you can play it with an entry above 24,000. Or if we get a bad report, then you can play kind of the breakdown version of this, which would probably be, I would say below 22. I think at 22, there can be consolidation there. I really don't want to play below 23. That could happen. You could get faked out and hit your stop loss. So I'd be looking to play on a break below 22,000 as far as a short, if I'm looking for the short. And try to write it down to like 21, maybe even 20 you can get. But that'll be the way that I'm playing both sides of it. So all I'm doing is setting up orders in both directions, sitting back and waiting for tomorrow when that comes out at 2 p.m. We'll see what happens. That's pretty much it. What do you think? You got any thoughts on what's going to happen tomorrow?
Not one.
on the interest rates.
No, not one. Not one. I'm just I'm optimistic, but I don't know, the state of the world kind of just
yeah,
it's a little like dystopian every now and then, you know?
Right, yeah, because it feels like the state of the world is in one direction, and then what's coming, some of the stuff coming out is in another direction. So we're getting pulled from both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm not getting my hopes up, but let's keep moving forward is what I can say.
Yeah, for sure.
Dollar cost average, guys. Invest in yourself. I was talking to these two girls yesterday. They were new to this space. They were here for Hack Week, and I was basically telling them, like, hey man, like, invest in yourself. Don't put all your money in a savings account. You just never know. You never know. Nothing is promised. Nothing is guaranteed.
Yep.
As long as you watch out for yourself, that is all that matters.
Yep. And that's
with
pretty
that,
much it.
I ask if anyone has any live Q&A.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions. yeah, if anyone has any questions, drop it in the comments. If not, we're going to wrap it up. We've been live for about almost an hour and a half. It's 2:21. We went live at 1 p.m. So almost we definitely ran a lot longer than we wanted to today. But that's okay. Sometimes there's gonna be days like this where there's just a lot of things going on in the market that we need to cover, especially with what's gonna happen tomorrow, coming in tomorrow with the Fed interest rates. I definitely wanted to make sure that we touched on that, and I definitely wanted to touch on some of the news going on this week. So yeah. So if nobody has any questions, we're going to wrap it up. I want to first of all thank the Bitcoin Queen. Thank you again, my co-host, for jumping on here and joining us today, giving us some great advice, not advice, thoughts and opinions, perspectives.
I don't have advice.
Yeah, it's
I
not
have
advice.
opinions.
Not advice. um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you guys on the next one next week. We should be back to Mondays if you're available. Then awesome. And I also wanna I know you know a lot of people, so if we have any interesting guests that want to hop on, it would be cool to bring them on as well, to make things even more interesting.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm sure we can pull someone out of the hat. Find someone for you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you guys next week. As always, peace and love.
Peace out, guys.